Kent Online News.
News you can trust.
This is the Kent Online Podcast. Nicola Everett.
Hello, hope you're okay on Tuesday, August the 25th. Thanks ever so much for downloading today's podcast. Coming up, how a youth club in Kent is getting young people off their phones. A sanctuary in the county is set to expand to help even more goats. And there's an injury update from Gillingham. But first, a grandmother who grabbed a person by the hair during an attack in Primark in Canterbury has avoided being sent to prison. This all happened after a dispute broke out at the store in Marlow Arcade. Well, Kate has some more details for the podcast and she's with me now. Kate, can you give us some background about how this all unfolded?
Yes, well, a court heard the victim was in a lift at the Primark outlet in Canterbury with her mum and young son, who was in a pushchair. They were then joined by Donna Baker, who was with her young granddaughter, also in a pushchair, her daughter and a teenager. Now, when the toddler began to cry, the teen told her to shut up and swore at her. The victim tried to intervene to defend the child at this point, and that's when she was verbally assaulted and had the stroller pushed into her legs.
And what happened once they left the elevator?
Well, the dispute continued out onto the shop floor. The two groups exchanged threats and insults before the victim was attacked with punches, kicks and elbows. Other shoppers did try to intervene to break up the violence. However, witnesses say at one point Baker grabbed the victim by the hair, ripping some from her scalp before dragging her to the floor where she was repeatedly kicked.
When Baker was arrested, she originally denied the assault charge, is that right?
Yes, that's right. Prosecutors say she showed no remorse, instead suggesting the victim needed to learn not to run her mouth and that her actions were proportionate and necessary. However, she did later change her plea. As a result, the 41-year-old from Plaxton Way in Herne Bay was given a 6-month jail term, which was suspended for 12 months. She's also been ordered to do 80 hours of unpaid work. Her daughter was also sentenced at an earlier hearing to a 12-month community order with 150 hours of unpaid work and 20 rehab sessions. The teenager was dealt with in the youth court.
Kate, thank you ever so much.
Kent Online News.
Other top stories today, and a man arrested by Kent Police over a fatal house fire in London has now been charged with murder. The blaze broke out on August the 19th in Hounslow. 9 people were treated in hospital and one woman in her 50s later died. 34-year-old Paul Dupler, who has no fixed address, was detained by officers while travelling by train to France. He's due in court today. A Sheppey woman has admitted sharing an intimate picture of someone on a WhatsApp group for mums after finding out she'd been cheated on. A court was told Amy Backshall posted the image without the person's consent between June and October last year. The 25-year-old from North Road in Queenborough has been fined £200 and must also pay compensation. A teenager who piloted a so-called mega dinghy carrying people across the Channel to Kent has admitted endangering others during a sea crossing. 165 asylum seekers have been packed into the boat, which began to deflate during the journey on July the 23rd. A 19-year-old, originally from South Sudan, pleaded guilty to the charges at Canterbury Crown Court and will be sentenced next month. Now, staff at a youth club in Kent have been telling the Kent Online podcast how they've managed to get children off their phones over the summer holidays. The Zone is based in a former cricket pavilion at St Peter's Recreation Ground in Broadstairs. Manager Victoria Suchak says the building is so old it doesn't have Wi-Fi. She's been chatting all about it to Lucy.
It's actually worked out to our benefit because kids come along, they say, "What's your password?" for the Wi-Fi, and say, "Well, it's go outside and play." So they put their phones down and we give them a football or some crafts or art or whatever to do, and off they go. And the effect is really noticeable. They talk to each other, or we will sit around the table and play a game of cards, do some art, just sit and chat. And that is so valuable for children. Their social skills, which they don't understand maybe when they're little, but as they get older, they come in and their phones are literally glued to their hands. We say, well, just put that down. You don't need it just for a couple of hours. And they look up, you're talking to them face to face. And it's a lovely thing to see. It really is.
Do you ever find there's any kind of resistance to that of, some of the teenagers not wanting to put their phone down and almost being a bit addicted to it?
No, funnily enough, I think this new policy that's coming in about banning social media for under 16s, we have had a few conversations with them about it, and they totally understand it, which is so refreshing. A lot of parents already are saying that, well, the children are saying that the parents don't allow them to have TikTok or Facebook or, whatever. And they totally get that. In the past, we have seen issues arising from online bullying, media influence and so on, and it is concerning. So I think, this is a step in the right direction as far as the ban goes, but also the children themselves, as they're growing up, are realising sensibly that there are dangers. And that it is better to have their friends by their side rather than on a screen in front of them.
And do you agree it's become a bit of a problem with society, the fact that teenagers are struggling to socialise in person and are having more sort of friendships on their phone?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And we're doing our little bit by having a youth club where they can come along and see their friends and make friends as well. We have children coming from 4 or 5 different schools locally, so they get to socialise face to face. But yeah, I think the answer has got to be more youth clubs, more places for children to go, play safely. We struggle. We are, as far as I know, the only completely independent, local, free access youth club in Broadstairs. There are other smaller ones that may be church based, but when KCC cut their funding a couple of years ago for statutory provision for youth services, it had a huge impact. It cut our budget hugely, so we really struggled with that for a while. That children need to play outside and meet their friends outside. We need more of us.
Kent Online reports.
A farmer has stepped in to help firefighting efforts in part of Ashford after a blaze broke out in a field. 6 engines were called to Norton Lane in Bethersden at around 2:30 yesterday afternoon. The farmer used a harrow to create a fire break. There have been no reports of any injuries, but the cause is under investigation. A yellow weather warning for thunderstorms has been issued for part of Kent. The alert covers the north of the county in places like Dartford, Gravesend and Maidstone. It's enforced tomorrow morning from 3 and lasts until 10 p.m. Follow Kent Online on socials to see the moment a 4x4 tried to drive through a river in North Kent. The Land Rover Discovery was caught on camera slowly making its way through the River Darrant in Ainsford. Police say they were contacted last Thursday and are still investigating. Now, a goat sanctuary near Maidstone is set to be able to welcome even more animals after buying up extra land. Buttercups in Bourton-Monchelsea has purchased 17 additional acres next to its existing site. The charity helps abandoned, neglected and surrendered goats, as well as funding routine healthcare, complex procedures and rehabilitation. Well, I've been chatting to Matt from the sanctuary, who was joined by Biffa, a goat that was rescued from a bin earlier this year.
This is not a quick decision. This is something we've wanted to do for a long time now, years and years. And it's finally come to reality. So we've managed to purchase about 17 acres of some very, very beautiful pasture, about 5 minutes walk from the sanctuary, where we will be constructing a second site to work in conjunction with the current sanctuary. And it's going to be a bespoke facility focused on the goats and the wildlife. So it's going to kind of have 2 functions. And we're going to take everything we've learned from the last 35 years and just make it all perfect for them.
And how many more goats will you be able to look after? And in fact, how many are you looking after at the moment?
Well, we've got about 110 at the sanctuary at the moment, and probably about 150 in foster homes in the area as well. And this new site would probably allow us to house up to about 150 extra goats, 150, 160, something like that. And that will just happen with time. It's surprising how many goats actually need help. And that will fill up little by little, until I'm sure we'll have a herd just as big at the second site as we do at the current site.
And tell us a bit about Buttercups and the sort of life that they have when they're there, because they're incredibly well looked after. We can see from Biffa how well he's doing. Tell us a bit about the work that you do.
They are spoilt rotten. So obviously a lot of them come from not the best situation. However, they come to this place and they are just spoiled pets, essentially. So they're completely free to be themselves. They've got space to go and be on their own if they want. They've got the company of others. They've got comfortable beds each. They get food morning and evening, and lots of food from visitors as well. They've got all their medical needs taken care of, so we keep a very close eye on them, and we tend to everything that they need. They're just so spoiled, and I think it's a good testament to how relaxed they feel, because they are technically prey animals, so they should in theory be quite nervous and aware of people. However, if you come down on open day, you'll find goats fast asleep in the middle of the field with people walking around them, because they know they're so safe.
It's fantastic news. I'm guessing though there is a mess. You don't want to be taking on hundreds and hundreds of goats. I'm sure you would like to get a message across to people who are thinking, "Oh, I'd love one of those in my back garden." I mean, what sort of message would you give to people who are contemplating buying a goat because they see Biffa and they just think he's the cutest thing in the world? I'd love to have one. What sort of message do you need to get across to people?
You're right. So whilst we are here to look after the goats, we don't really want to be having to rescue them in the first place. So the best case scenario is this isn't necessary, almost not necessary. So I would say it's really important to do your research, make sure you know what you're getting into. You've got to take the amount of space you've got into consideration, how able you are to look after them, vet expenses, that kind of thing. And if you're at all not sure, just come and visit ours instead. So you can come and visit us on our open days, and we'll do all the hard work for you, and you can just come and give them a cuddle every now and then instead of having to have the responsibility of having your own. We are open all year round now. So we're only closed on Wednesdays, but we've also got our summer fair coming up on the August bank holiday, Monday the 31st. So if people want to pop along to that, we've got limited space in the car park. So if you want to bring a car, it's important that you pre-book. But come along. We've got some stalls around. We've got the Vegan Habit food truck coming, which is very lovely, and of course all the goats waiting to meet you.
Kent Online reports.
The owners of a newly opened business in Medway say they're being penalised for trying to bring an empty building back to life. Bosses at House of Condiments on Rochester High Street say they're paying £5,000 a year on council tax because the 17th century building includes residential accommodation, which has been empty for the last 6 years. They say the rates are frustrating. Medway Council says it introduced the premium to encourage long-term empty properties to be brought back into use as much needed housing. A former care home in Deal that was placed in special measures after residents were found in soiled clothes could be converted into flats. Sonia Lodge in Walmer was closed in October last year. Developers now want to convert the building into 12 properties, which will also have access to 8 parking spaces. A new community supermarket is going to open in Medway. Bosses have told us it'll be on the first floor of the Pentagon in Chatham near the new Healthy Living Centre. From October, it'll provide access to low-cost food to help families that are struggling with the cost of living crisis. Now it's set to be the end of an era at the Royal Cheriton pub in Folkestone as the landlady prepares to leave. Elaine Jenkins took over the venue with her husband in 1989. 3 years after he died following a cancer battle, she's now preparing to hand over the keys to new landlords. And a Gravesend woman who's opened a cake shed outside her home says you won't find it being advertised on social media. Vanessa Bent set up the Sunflower Hatch on Rochester Road in July, but only uses a small board on the front lawn to attract attention. The 35-year-old, who's also an accountant, is hoping it'll inspire people to go out more and explore what's in the local area.
Kent Online Sport.
Football and Gillingham wingback Kadeem Harris is facing months on the sidelines after rupturing his ACL. The 33-year-old joined from League Two rivals Salford in June and was stretchered off in the 70th minute of the Gills draw with Fleetwood Town on Saturday. It's another blow for the squad, with new captain Liam Gordon, Armani Little and Bradley Dack among those already out through injury. Meantime, defender Logan Dobbs says he's keen to show the club what he can do after making his first Football League start. The 19-year-old stepped into the side on Saturday and says he wants to repay the faith shown in him by manager Gareth Ainsworth.
I can't thank Gaffer enough, especially for the opportunity. But I just want to show him what I can do, show him that he can trust me and that I can put in results. We're a tight group. We speak to each other every day, bus journeys, talking to each other. I think it's just important that we try and show what we can do this season. Hopefully Gaffer trusts us and just try and get results as a team. The older boys have been really helpful in training. They push us. They treat us as same age as them, for example. They don't see us as young lads. but that does make it very helpful. It is early doors, but I feel like as a group we are very, very connected. We are a team. It's improved a lot as pre-season went on, and now I feel like we really back each other, and I feel like it can grow.
Well, that's all from us for today. Thanks ever so much for listening. Don't forget you can follow us on socials, plus you can get details on the top stories direct to your email each morning via the briefing. To sign up to that, just head to kentonline.co.uk, and whilst you're on the site you can also subscribe to Kent Online Premium. That gives you access to content with fewer ads and exclusive stories.
News you can trust.
This is the Kent Online Podcast.